LegoGPT is now a thing, a new model where you can use text to prompt for the Lego set that you imagine, and it actually puts it together in a way that's feasible so you can build it. So fun. I vividly remember 2 years ago asking the best AI image models to make a Rick and Morty Lego set, and this is the best they could do. We have come so far. Rick and Morty?
Oh my gosh, bottom right is so cool. It looks like a brick head one.
Yep, that's a good one.
I love Rick and Morty so much.
Bottom left is kind of cool too.
It's my favorite show in the world.
Bottom left is kind of cool, but the minifigures are too off.
I could have liked this one, but they can't make Morty with a tie, you know? Like
Yeah,
Morty
it's a
has to
zombie
look
too.
young, and Morty with like a receding hairline. I have started really thinking about the woman with the bionic arm. I mean, she just detaches it on talk shows now and moves it around with her brain as she pleases.
And I can still operate it the same way as if it was attached. Make a move.
That is
across the
incredible.
table.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. So it can do little tasks for me when I can't be bothered.
That could be the future for a lot of us. Even if you have two hands, like, do you just maybe want a third, like over there, to grab something over there? It's weird but possible.
Also, the practical jokes and wind-ups you can use that for.
Oh yeah. So much.
Unbelievable.
I don't know, dude. Cyberpunk seems closer than ever to me. Engineers have also created a robot that can jump 10 feet high without legs, inspired by a parasite. There's a musician who passed away in 2011. Some of his brain cells are now on display, and they're making music still. A full 10 years after his death. That's crazy. In less flashy, but very important for the economy update in AI, it's remaking the way the lithium-ion battery recycling system works, and that's really good news for the US. Because if you don't have good access to rare earths, why don't you recycle what you got? If you want to know what the social network that OpenAI is working on to compete with X might look like, Sora .ChatGPT has been getting a bunch of social updates that make me think, oh, this is how it's gonna look. The YouTuber Minuteman, Mini Minute Man, Mini Minute Man, Mini Minute Man is breaking down Facebook's terrible AI archaeology conspiracy accounts.
This is an account that literally just reposts everything I have ever made pretty much multiple times a day.
DreamO is a new open source image, I want to say image generator, but it's more like how Photoshop would work if you could communicate and do all of those things just through a prompt. Fascinating new AI project that can smell meat. Yeah, they trained a model on smell to smell if something's like rotting or it smells like it might have urine on it, actually. It's like actually a big part of the article, but either way, it could totally change how much we can trust meat in the US. NVIDIA's got a new paper that might change the way games work because it's a skeleton-based representation for rigged 3D assets. I mean, look at the way that tiger walks even when the camera's turning around it. So Alan's conservative countdown also still sitting at 94% of the way to artificial general intelligence. Did have a couple more updates talking about why he argues for this number. One of the more interesting ones was that the lead engineer and PM for Anthropic's Claude Code, which is the agent coding tool, says that the agent was written and optimized by Claude. In fact, 80 to 90% of the code overall was written by itself. Like, that's almost the cycle where the system is building itself. And then imagine when it's 100% and it's better than humans, then it's just like, that could be takeoff time.
I think that nets out to maybe like 80, 90% Claude written code overall.
Yeah, we're hearing a lot of that in our portfolio companies, like more like Series A companies. It's like 80, 85% of the code they write is AI generated.
Yeah.
So
85% generated? That's crazy. But first, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, LTX Studio. There's another big model update this week. There is now a much faster to use 13 billion parameter model. LTX actually has natively built into it, so it just goes way faster. And it does some killer renders, so check this out. So this new model, which is about 7 times bigger than the last model, you can access through generating an image to start with, or if you want to go to a storyboard that you've already created, like a whole long form that you're working on, or from scratch. We're just going to generate an image to show it off. But of course, using tools like this to create long form stories is really where the special sauce is. Let's start with a steampunk airship sailing through a canyon filled with glowing lava and flying books. So out of my 6 choices here, I'm thinking this one's my favorite. I really like this blurry book in the foreground. ground. Okay, so first we'll upscale it. So now I just have to describe my motion. I'm going to say that the airship is sailing through the canyon. This is the brand new LTX video model, 13 billion parameters. This is really impressive stuff. So we're going to pick a 5-second video duration here, and here we go. Okay, so I waited probably just about a minute for all 4 of these previews, which is great. Oh, I'm kind of a fan of this one, how the camera tilts above it. It kind of makes it look like it's floating more, but ultimately my eye is mostly drawn to this one in the bottom left. This seems like it's the most cinematic. Ooh, sound is feeling pretty on point. So check them out, LTX Studio. I super appreciate them sponsoring this video and this channel. You can get a link in the description below if you want to go try this out right now. All right, it is time to talk about one of the most fun models, the most fun model of 2025, LegoGPT. Oh my gosh, you can design stable structures using standard Legos from a text prompt. This is the ultimate of kid fun, and I love that you can imagine it and then build it. You know, like how smart would Lego be to like take Lego.com, make it so that you can go there, make something, invent something, and then they'll just somehow use an AI like sorting system to put the right pieces in a bag and send it to you. Not like they need any more ideas to make money, but I'm just saying. This is the official paper, generating physical, stable, and buildable Lego designs from text. And look at some of the details from this paper. It's got a force model. We had to consider all forces exerted on a single brick, including gravity, vertical forces, and you can see the forces are like mapped out here. So this model, it's more than you'd think. There's mesh to Lego aspects, stability scores, caption generation. You know, to obtain captions for each shape, we had to render the Lego from the Lego build that they end up with from 24 different viewpoints and combine them into a single multi-view image. This is very different from what you think of when you go to ChatGPT and say, generate a cool Lego set of like a robotic dinosaur. The most mind-blowing part about LegoGPT is how it handles like the oopsie moments, right? That like if you were to build some of those things in real life, they wouldn't work. Like they might look cool, but they would fall apart. This AI model has something called physics-aware rollback. This means that if it starts designing something and realizes that a brick placement will make the whole thing topple over or fall apart or not stable, it smartly backtracks to the last stable point and tries a different approach to building. It understands your Lego dreams and it knows about the physical world. Okay, so check out this example. Compact sofa with a geometric design. So these are some snapshots on how it's basically like thinking. I guess in some sense it's like a chain of thought reasoning or something similar to that. So it comes up on its attempt with like an invalid coding brick, so it backtracks, another invalid coding brick. It does sort of come to a conclusion of this object, but it's deemed to be unstable. Comes up with another one, it's unstable. It comes up with something that's stable, but it doesn't feel like the sofa looks very good. Comes up with another stable design, but it seems to not really match what it's hoping for. And then you can see that it finally lands on something that looks stable. It must be actually buildable, and it does look like a sofa. A stable solution for a car or a train, a couple chairs. See a couple of robots just building that up from scratch for you. Although I'm pretty sure that's the fun part, so I don't know if they should be working on that, but we'll see. Gosh, do you think there's a market for people who just want to buy the Lego set all the way built? That's so bad. Like if you buy something on eBay that's already built and put it in your backdrop, I'm not down with that. Tech Explorer wrote, engineers create robot that can jump 10 feet high without legs. It really can. Check out this nematode-inspired jumping robot. That is a 10-foot basketball hoop from the ground. It is dunking. Inspired by movements of the tiny parasitic word called a nematode. Nematodes can jump 20 times higher than their body length, so yeah, why not just make a robot that way? So they bend their body into a way that forms a kink, and then off they go. Stored energy in the kink allows the worms to propel end over end just like a gymnast. So silicon rod, carbon fiber spine, gives you that same oomph, but even more. All right, so this is an art experiment that we're going to talk about. It's called revivification, right? Or revivification, yep. And what they've done is Harvard scientists have taken white blood cells and then hooked that up to an electrode, and then the pulsing is hooked up to like a brass cymbal so it makes music. The artist Alvin Lucier wanted this before he died. It's like he helped like put this whole thing together, so you know, it was definitely done with his intent. But still, having somebody's creative essence after death, and especially if it was more like a neuron, and we've seen little bits of computing with neurons, that's crazy. Like, that's some definite dystopian, like, we might not die, our brains might live on forever beginning stuff. All right, let's talk about how AI is remaking lithium-ion battery recycling, written on Substack. This is Devanish and Myth Besser putting it together. Okay, so just to set this out there, if you wanted to recycle these lithium-ion batteries before, it was like dangerous. It was really hard to do, and it wasn't really that good for the environment. But like honestly, in lots of cases, it seems like it was worse for the environment than digging it up from the ground in the first place. But when you can get AI-powered robots to dismantle electronics safely, diagnose what parts of the battery can be like stripped out, they can do it without the risk to a human, and you get computer vision sorting to do some of the micro details that human eyes just tend to mix or miss after a while. They get tired. You start ending up with the ability to extract materials, and even more so, the ability to take those materials and understand what their chemical makeup is, and like how you want to, in each case, put them in other like acids and things like that to like melt them or mix them, or knowing the complicated parts that were actually very difficult to think about in real time. You have a new way to recycle these lithium-ion batteries that could be a game changer, especially in the US. And right now we're at the phase where it's sort of helping a little bit in the real world, but there's these digital twins, these versions that could be exactly what we build in the future, that could be full-on lithium-ion battery recycling plants. China, America, they're racing to see who can get this done first and done better. Very cool, actually. Recycling plants with a virtual brain to make a difference is a huge way to like recycle. Okay, so let's revisit the idea of OpenAI building a social network. You might remember from like a few weeks ago, this was like a talking point all of us AI YouTubers were like touching on. There was some leaks. They were reportedly working on something similar to X, and it kind of makes sense. I mean, obviously Elon is trying to like do what OpenAI is doing, so maybe Sam's like, fine, I'll try to build a social network, you know? Having a social network layer to what OpenAI has built, whether that's through like ChatGPT or some sort of other sharing mechanism, is a really interesting source of data. They have an amazing source of data with everybody who's typing all this stuff into ChatGPT all the time. But I was on Reddit and this guy was like, well, look at what's going on with Sora. It kind of looks like the groundwork for a social network. And I honestly hadn't really thought about it that way or gone over and checked it out. But look at this. Does that not kind of resemble what could easily be like a TikTok or Reels feed? You have the name of a social media user, right? A person. You can take what they're doing, remix it. You can also give it a like. You can essentially see what's trending, like what's top for today. You get to see the prompt and how many people hearted it. I mean, there's not quite a commenting layer. There's not really the app form factor that you can just scroll through yet. But if you love the idea of a political pigeon or something, you can clearly search for more. Oh yeah, pigeon politician. Definitely need to improve the search functionality there. And as this becomes superhuman, could lots of virtual influencers and real people be sharing their creations and their stories? And could they build this out into a full-on social network? Could it already be in the ChatGPT app, which has more overall people visiting it than Visit X? And it's in lots and lots of phones already. You know what I mean? Like Sam Altman would have to like come on here and like give updates like the same way Zuck's trying to do on Threads or Trump's trying to do on Truth Social. That'll be interesting. We'll have to see. All right. So YouTuber Mini Minute Man found some fake account that was impersonating him on Facebook. It's basically just been stealing and reposting all of his content, building up a following. But then it overlays his content with this bogus AI generated conspiracy nonsense. And you have to wonder, does that qualify as originality? Is that something that makes it different? And when he's digging into it, for whatever reason, whoever's creating all of this content using AI gave it like ancient vibration techniques. It basically is like samurai and mermaid skeleton evidence, like all this total conspiracy theory stuff. And then it kind of launches into this discussion about like what happens when you can just pump out a ton of fake evidence for something, right? Like, it's going to be really hard in the future when someone's like, oh, I've got evidence of mermaids. And you're like, I don't think so, but what is it? And then they just let AI pump out so much. You get inundated with it. And of course, some of it you see probably doesn't, you know, pass the test, at least for now, but then some of it does, and some people only see the stuff that does, and some people start to believe it.
I think at this point, it's like AI spam accounts and like respond bots just like slowly creating their own culture. Enormous mermaid skeleton discovered, embracing her offspring in a poignant embrace. That is poignant, I gotta say. What's the bottom one? What the hell is that about? I don't know why I'm trying to make sense of this. Unbelievable. Ancient extraterrestrial images. Aliens surface in historical records. You're right, that is quite literally, by definition, unbelievable.
Next up, let's talk about this GitHub project. It is called DreamO. It's coming out of ByteDance, Chinese company. What's cool about it is that it seems to work the way I would think the future of Photoshop is going. Like, you can say a boy wearing a black sweatshirt on campus, and then you input an image of a sweatshirt, and it just puts it on him. Like a Mickey image here, generate the same style, but a rooster wearing overalls. Same style, but this time a puppy on a hill. Or imagine you wanted two people dancing, but you weren't quite sure what to say to get the kind of image that's in your mind. You can just take photos of like two random people and then put them together. Like, that's just a face of a woman and then a dress that you want her to be wearing, and it just creates the whole body and the environment behind it. Like, what? The Mona Lisa's face is now a woman in a white dress playing a violin? Jeffrey Hinton made into a sculpture? I don't know. It's open source. People are using it. Just be aware. All right, this one is one that I dived in way deeper than I expected, but electronic nose and machine learning for modern meat inspection. The whole idea of AI and smell is still just, I'm still trying to get my head around it. Like, the thing about smell is it's not like computer vision where you can just kind of look at the pixels. Like, the smell is a physical thing. Like, when you smell something, little pieces of it, little atoms of it are in your nose, letting it know the shape of those, which is part of the smell. So for any machine to really smell in the future, it has to have some kind of ability to do something, right? Like, it can have a box with some gas in it, and it can look at the way the gas is manipulated, and from there infer what the smell is, or correlate that to what a human smells, and then realize that the way it interprets is similar enough that it can be accurate. And we're kind of getting there now with these models. And one of the most interesting use cases is that still to this day, there are people at slaughterhouses, when meat is coming by, that just smell it. Like, they smell it to see if it's rancid or if they find something with it. And I mean, it's better than not smelling meat, I guess, to see if it's good. But obviously you can imagine, like, a lot of people smell different things. There's probably a lot of conflicting smells. Humans aren't going to always get it right. It's not just rotting smells too. There's this, and it's a little gross, but just so you know, there's a lot of urine contamination in meat, okay? And smelling the smell of urine, the ass, some people just don't have the accurate noses they need. And these machine learning models, by taking meat and soaking it in, you know what I'm talking about, then getting that smell, and then taking the meat and getting its normal smell, and then putting these systems in place that can actually detect what the difference is in the molecules that are wafting off of them. It exists. Like, there's now a machine, and it's pretty accurate, but it's not in full scale swing yet. But this could be huge for the meat industry. Like, we can have much safer meat in the future, especially from the urine contamination, which is a pretty big problem. And that's great. So, you know, like, I love on this channel finding new verticals that AI is in. So there, I had to share with you. Okay. Like, maybe you're not into it. Maybe you are. I mean, you're probably not into it, but like, maybe you find it interesting or not. I don't know. But if you didn't, we'll move on to a new LLM training system to help self-detoxify its language. So MIT and IBM researchers have paired up on a new project, and they have come up with this. It is a new method that can help large language models learn. It is SASA, which is a self-disciplined autoaggressive sampling model. And it helps large language models avoid saying toxic or harmful things on its own. And they do it in a different way. Normally you have to retrain a model, you have to fine tune it, or you have to use these, what they call kind of bulky reward systems to help get it to align. But this SASA model teaches it to basically look at every word coming out of its mouth, not probably that different from a human, and sort of notice the sentence that it's saying at the point of saying it and being like, oh, maybe that's going to be like harmful or hurtful or not PC. I mean, it's kind of like how people think before they speak. It's right there at the end. Like it's already kind of generate, like imagine your own head. If it's the equivalent of a token being generated, it's the thought in your head that you're already starting to say. The beginning of the sentence is like kind of out there. And then like, boom, you're like, oh, if I finish the sentence the way I was going to, like, that's going to be insulting. Like, and you catch, there's a million like memes on the internet where people like catch themselves just saying something at the last minute and kind of correct at the last second. That's what this kind of a system is. It kind of hears its own phrases just like right before it says it and then nudges the model into less toxic dialogue. Next, let's jump over to NVIDIA Research. They have come up with a model for animating characters or monsters or animals. And what it does is something kind of like Sora, where it generates the actual character, but it locks it in to also a virtual skeleton. So this is a whole nother model that needs to first look at, say, like a lion or a person and know with pretty good accuracy what bone structure to create for it. Like, what kind of toes, what kind of ankles, like what kind of movement, what kind of ligaments, like which way would the structure actually move in the physical world. So it had to be trained on all these crazy physical simulations. Of course, NVIDIA is the best in the world at that. But then combine those skeleton animations with something that can generate actual characters. And what you end up with is, I would say, realistically plausible motion. And that's pretty neat. And it's more explainable, too, than even stuff that might have good motion coming out of, tools like Sora or Kling.
On the other hand, text to 4D generation leverages internet-scale knowledge, but its high degrees of freedom often results in unrealistic deformations. We introduce IKD, Articulated Kinematics Distillation, to seamlessly blend the strengths of both worlds. We take a 3D JS asset from text to 3D systems and embed a low-def bone system for motion control. Bone transformations deform the asset, and the rendered video, paired with the text prompt, is fed into a large video diffusion transformer. Video SDS loss then refines the articulated motion to align with the text. Our skeleton system is simulation-ready. We can use physics-based motion tracking to project synthesized motions onto physics-grounded ones. Specifically, the skeleton system can be directly simulated using a rigid body simulator with active joint controls. The simulated sequence is matched to the synthesized motion, ensuring that the tracked motion is physically achievable while retaining the style of the synthesized motion.
All right, let's get a little more philosophical here. Jojo S has written on Medium, the AI arms race. Are we building a god that we can't control? A race with no finish line? That is an interesting way to think about what is happening right now. It's not about chips and code. It's about survival, sovereignty, and the scariest oops in human history. This article is diving into something that I have to admit is always on my mind, right? It's a lot about the US, like China, like arms race. See, there will come a point when AI has the ability to rewrite its own code, design its own goals, and maybe even decide if we're inefficient. Maybe we're a liability. Maybe we're unnecessary. Who knows? But once that switch flips, there is no Control Z. There is no power cord to yank. There is no oops, our bad. That moment is coming. It might already be coded into a lab in Silicon Valley or a server farm in the desert. Hopefully someone labeled it properly. Anyway, if you want to support this content, you would be doing me a solid to head on over to patreon.com/DylanCurious. You can join 91 other members and help me just support this as little as $3, $7, $15 a month, whatever. Also, in the comments, let me know if any of you actually listen to this on Spotify. Let me know if any of you like that, if you think about it more like a podcast or like a show or like a YouTube personality or whatever it is. So, and leave a comment and we'll just see you guys in the next video. Thanks.